Hello, welcome to another episode of Amateur Podcast. Duran is actually not here today, and I'm not doing these by myself, although at some point I might do them by myself. But I have a special guest today, Jamir, who I recently met within the last couple of weeks. Had a great time getting to know him, and he decided to join us today, and take Duran's spot. Um, so Jamir, welcome.
Hi.
Don't sound so shy. Come on.
Well, what else?
Come on. I
Damn, but I am
public
shy.
speaking's not your thing, huh?
No, not at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's not my thing either. I mean, my brother's wedding, I didn't give a speech, you guys, for my brother's wedding. And I was the best man. Like, that's terrible. Like, I should have, looking back at it, I should have, my dad got up there and said a bunch of words, you know? I should have went up there and said something. I don't know. I should have I should have done better with that. But all right, well listen, you're new. So you're gonna have to tell us who you are a little bit. Just a
Uh,
little bit. It's a little brief. A little brief.
um, what does that even mean? Like, I'm just gonna say a bunch of shit. Like, I'm 20, I'm in college, I'm black.
Well, I mean, your name might have gave that away.
Like, I
Oh,
don't
come on. Listen, dark humor's funny, okay? Badoom.
like. What about dark humor? It's funny.
Nothing. That just went right over our heads.
It
Um,
did.
so you're in college. What's your field? What are you all about?
I'm majoring in psychology.
Awesome. Sweet. Okay. Um, well, let's step right on into it. Actually, that's kind of what I want to talk about today. Um, I'm actually a grad student, so I'm technically not even done with college, but like the fun stuff of college is done. The living on campus, you know, late nights gaming with classmates and fun weekends and awful food at the cafeteria that actually wasn't that bad when you actually ate it, because when you ate it, you were probably hungry and walking everywhere, which is how you got hungry. Like I miss those days. And even though I'm still technically a college student, they're not, that's just not what it's not the same. And so today, like, do you miss college? What do you hate the most about college, and what do you love the most about college? So Jamir can only answer two out of three of those questions. Because my boy is still a college student. He's still in his undergrad. Um, but you know what? Do you think you're
Mhm.
you know what? I'm gonna ask you this. Let's break this down. What do you hate the most about college so far?
What do I hate the most about college? Um, I think what I would hate the most about college is that like I feel like your grade basically depends on your professor rather than like what you know. Like at least for me when I was in my like statistics class, honestly, like I'm pretty sure like if not the whole class, like 75% of the class had to fail because our professor like they just didn't communicate enough. Like they didn't really give us extra help when they taught lessons. Like whenever someone asked a question they didn't really answer or the explanation just like wasn't clear. And then like they just like I don't know, it was like they taught directly from the book. Like
Uh-huh.
everything they were saying during the lectures, I literally could have just read out of the book and they didn't add anything to that. So if you didn't understand it from the book, you wouldn't understand the lectures.
Yeah, and I know exactly what you're talking about because professors think they're slick, right? So they like to take this expensive book and they like to, and I can't even lie because I probably would. Here's the thing, like logically you should do it this way. Let me, I guess, finish my statement. Like I'm referring to professors who basically make Spark Notes out of the textbook and then make
Hmm.
slides out of it. They don't even read directly out of the textbook. They just everything's based off of their slides. And a lot of times they leave out pretty important information. And long story short, it's a mess. And for me, in my experience, when you went to the professor to complain, um, the thing that they usually would, insinuate is that you're not reading the book.
Hmm.
And I'm like, well, it's already bad enough that we got to keep up with a lot of information that you gave to us in your lectures and in your textbooks, not your textbooks, but your slides. And now you want us to read the textbook as well on top of that. Um, it's which is fine, but it makes you wonder, like, if I could go back, I would probably just read the textbook. I wouldn't even really pay attention to the professor's slides because they're probably going to be missing information or they're going to be very vague about information that this textbook's probably more detailed about. And it's just one of those things where it's not only are they not creative with teaching because they're teaching directly from the textbook, but they don't even have the common decency to reference all the important information.
Hmm.
So it's like, why am I even listening to you? Why am I even listening to your lecture if I could just go and read the textbook that probably has more information about the topic that we're learning about than what you have in your PowerPoint slide.
Hmm.
So I get it. That definitely was a problem. The thing with me though is that you get used to it. Like I don't think there's any professor I've ever had that didn't have it set up that way. Now, I will say some of the best professors I've had, they didn't live and die by their slides. I mean, if you like most of the time, you and it's hard because I'm in computer science, so it's hard to really it's interesting because like with comp sci, the best way to learn is really hands-on. So
Hmm.
best professors I've had got us hands-on and didn't focus too much on like what came right out the textbook. So but then there were some that did, and they wanted us to listen in lectures and you know look at their PowerPoint slides, but it's like you guys are missing information that you're probably going to test us on later. So it's like
Hmm.
it's inconsistent. It's like the source of the information is just really inconsistent. Sometimes the book is has too much, like the chapter might have too much filler in it, and it's like, okay, is all this necessary to read for what we're studying? And then there's times where it's like, okay, a lot of this is necessary. And then when you go to the professor, it's like, oh, well, you should have just read the textbook. It's like, no, you know. So I get that. Um, what do you like? I mean, is there anything from a social perspective that you disliked about college or hated?
Um, Not that I can like think of off the top of my head. I mean, I know like fraternities and sororities exist, but I never like tried to join one. So honestly, not really. I mean, I feel like it's for me at least, it's kind of hard to make friends. Maybe that's something I don't like because I feel like the people you talk to are just gonna be the people that you're in classes with, and those classes change every semester. So I like unless you make like an active effort to like continue a relationship with someone, you're probably not gonna speak to them afterwards, even if you guys did get along. Because I feel like the way I see people, like if I'm talking to someone on campus is probably just because like they're my lab partner. So I feel like it, especially because I'm like commuter, so I'm not on campus. I feel like it is hard to meet people unless you like join a club or something like that. But
Yeah.
no.
I have you, I mean, well, based off of because I mean, we are basing this off of our experience. So based off of
Hmm.
would you say that that's something you don't like about college right now is that you're having a hard time making for because as a commuter, it is it's hard because like you said, I mean most people who are social, they're always on campus and as a commuter,
Hmm.
the ability to do that. So is that one of the things you dislike about your experience in college so far?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I'd rather be on campus than going back and forth between my house. Because I feel like I'm missing out on a lot of things.
Okay, and that's logical. And we talked about this before about, do you think you'd have a different overall college experience if you lived on campus somewhere and, the whole ordeal surrounding why you don't. We touched on it a bit. Um, I think the thing I hated the most about college was, I don't know, hate's a strong word.
Well, if that's how you feel, I mean, shit.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the thing I hated most about college is just probably the amount of exams. Like, I've never been a fan of tests, to be honest with you. I don't like, and this isn't really a college thing. This is in general. I don't like the whole like, you know, I guess we live in this educational world where like, we try to force as much information into a student or students' heads as possible, and then we want them to basically regurgitate it back onto a piece of paper later
Hmm.
on in the semester, along with other things that they've learned. And I'm not saying it can't be done. Obviously, it can, you know, duh, but like it's uncomfortable. And I'm like, is this really the best way to make sure that our students, absorb the knowledge?
Hmm.
Me, I'm a hands-on guy. I think that is the best way to learn. I don't give a damn what it is. Um, if you can find a way to learn using physical touch or seeing visually, that's the way to learn in my book. Some people are different, but I feel like most people I spoke to, they definitely prefer like learning with their senses, because, and I don't mean using your eyeballs to read out of a textbook, but like,
Hmm.
learning with pictures or, you know, perhaps maybe working on some type of like exercise or, a project, if you will. That's how I've learned like a lot of the stuff I've learned in school, it's stuck because I got hands-on with it. I had no other choice but to know it because that's the only way I'm going to get this project done or this exercise done. And it's depending on the project, it's fun because you know, your brain is going, it's moving, you know.
Hmm.
Um, what do you love the most about college so far?
What do I love the most about college? Uh, I feel like it's gonna be weird, but I love like writing essays. Like that's my
That is wild. That's punishment in some people's eyes. That would have been most people's what do you hate about college? Answer. That is wild.
no, like I feel like there's like no better feeling than like I don't know, like making a really juicy intro to an essay. Like you get to like act all sophisticated. You get to use big words. Like you like I don't know. To me, it just feels good to be able to like put all your ideas down on paper and like organize them in like such a good way, especially if it's argumentative. Like I like making arguments like that.
So I actually now this is not what I love about college, but I do like writing. I don't like, I will admit, I don't really like to write about stuff that I'm forced to write about.
Hmm.
Like, for an example, if you are a, and you can confirm or debunk this, but if you are someone who was in high school at some point within the last like 20 years, you probably were forced to read The Great Gatsby. Were you forced to read The Great Gatsby, Jamir?
Yeah, I was, but I don't remember any of it. So
I don't.
that's that.
My school was, my teacher was extra. She had a whole soiree at the end of the semester. And I'm like, bro, she wants to make sure we live this book.
Mm.
Um, I I love writing. Like right now, I'm writing a book. And I was actually going to work on it tonight, but I think I'm going to Betty Bye after this. But you know, I I I like that type of writing where I can write about things I want to write about. And
Uh-huh.
luckily I'm in the part of life where I can do that. You know, I'm not a I mean, I'm a software developer, so like if I have to write about something that I'm forced to write about, it's like documentation or it's like a project charter or something
Mhm.
on lines of that. You know, it's not like, hey, here's this, book. Here's a book. Read it and then give me an essay on it. Like, it's not nothing like
Yeah.
that. Um, so, but I feel you. Um, now, do you write like do you write books and stories and stuff?
No, I actually do not. I
That
I
is
probably
wild
should.
work to me, sir.
What?
You
How?
just made verbal love to this whole concept of writing, and then you're like, yeah, I don't write on my own time.
I don't like. I just don't like. It's never like occurred to me. Like, what would I write about?
What do
Like,
you don't have like your mind doesn't flow sometimes, and just like you don't have like little books playing in your head, like little stories.
no, I'm like
Your
brain
imagination
dead.
doesn't flow.
I'm I'm like brain dead Gen Z. No, there's nothing going on in here except my various mental illnesses.
So you're a gamer. You've never had envisioned ever writing, or not writing, but making your own game.
And I have.
And I'm sure, okay, I feel like most gamers have. And you've never had a story in mind about what this game would be about?
I I mean, I guess like if I had a picture of the kind of game I would create, but I've never like made a story. No.
Interesting. Okay. So why don't you like why do you like writing but you don't do it?
I don't know. Like it's just literally never crossed my mind outside of school.
Oh,
Like I go to school, they ask me to write an essay. It's about an interesting topic, and I'm like, ooh. Like maybe because in school, like they tell you what to write. Maybe that's the difference. Like because I can't make any decisions. So probably because like if it were up to me, like I genuinely like wouldn't know where to even begin. And then it's like, okay, if I write something, well, like what am I gonna do with it? Like when I write a paper for school, I'm gonna submit it. My professor is gonna read it, and I'm gonna get a good grade on it. I'm gonna feel good about it. Like if I write for myself, well, why? Like I'm gonna write it, probably read it once, and never look back. Unless I'm gonna like publish or something, but I don't think I would publish a book or anything. Like, have you written like just for the sake of it?
well, I'm writing a book now. I mean, this is
Uh,
the most consistent form of writing I've ever done freely on my own. I enjoy it. It's based on a story that you know, I shouldn't say the story, but like the I guess the category, which is like kind of like a sci-fi.
Uh,
It's the type of story I enjoy. And I think about stuff like this all the time because it's juicy, you know? And I think to create my own sci-fi story is intriguing, you know?
uh-huh.
And I'm having a lot of fun with it. I think I do admittingly hit a lot of writer's block, but yeah, it's all right. You know, it's okay. I'm not I'm not it's all right, you know.
Okay.
Um
So,
s- I mean, do you think this is going to change at all after this conversation for you?
what, me writing?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Me
Again, I just I just like wouldn't know what to write about. If no one's gonna read it, I don't really see
You
the
never
point.
wanted to write your own story?
When I was like three,
Did you say three?
yes.
My
Not no, but like when I was younger, I used to write books, but I just like grew out of it. I don't know.
God. Okay. Wow. All right. Well, sweet. Um,
But like with your book, like um compared to what you had to write in school, like what do you classify as being forced to? That's what I wanted to ask, but I didn't like get a chance to.
anything you need a grade for. I mean, and like
Really?
most stuff I've written about in college or in like high school, it's not based on a topic I wanted to write about. It's something that the whole class had to read, or it's a specific topic that was picked for us, you know, and
Hmm.
like I had a philosophy class a couple years back in college, and we read this. Oh my gosh, I thought this book was so boring. I don't even remember what it was called. We had to read a very um well, not read, but we had to write a very long and late and just long and very detailed paper on it. And it actually we had a few papers on it. It was throughout the a couple times throughout the semester, and it was hard because I'm like, I feel like I'm completely bullshitting this because I'm like, I don't want to write about this. You know, like I just,
Like that's the best part, like just bullshitting. Like I love doing that, like just saying shit and
yeah,
getting
but
a
it's
good
hard
grade.
to do that for something that like you aren't passionate about at all. Like this philosophy class was required. I don't know why
Oh,
it's
okay.
required for comp sci, but it's required. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I don't care about this class at all. None of my classmates seem to care about this class. I'm just not interested. And it's hard to write multiple essays on something you are not interested in. And back in high school, like I said, we had English classes where they would give us a story that we were forced to read and then write about. And it's like that type of writing to me is not fun because it's
Uh-huh.
like, what I'm bored. You
Yeah.
know, I don't know anything about this. I'm bored.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So like has there never been like a time in school where you had to write something and you enjoyed it?
I'm sure there was. I'm gonna be honest with you. I more so remember the times when I was forced to write about something I didn't want to write about.
Uh-huh.
Um, oh my gosh, I remember one year. I think this was in elementary school or middle school or something like that. We had to pick. It was for like Black History Month, and we had to pick like a freaking I guess like a black person, but like the public figure couldn't be someone like that's like it couldn't be someone that probably has been written about multiple times,
Yeah, like
like Martin Luther
MLK.
King, you know, or Malcolm X or something. And I ended up doing mine on Clarence Thomas, like
Oh.
Justice Thomas, and I'm like, I thought it was crazy because I'm like, I could have done like Thurgood Marshall or like, I don't know. I mean, any other like big political African American name, and I got Justice Thomas. And I'm like, okay, I mean, I'll take it, but you know,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I feel like it was hard to find a lot of stuff on him. I mean, like, not that he isn't, not that he doesn't have his place in Black history, but like that was someone that like I remember that because that's somebody I didn't want to write about, you
You
know.
didn't want to?
No, well, no, I didn't want to write about any of like the people who was given to me as options. You know, I didn't want to write about these people.
You're
Uh,
just like,
but
fuck blackness.
Clarence Thomas was given to me, and I'm like, all right, let's rock and roll with it. It's kind of wild to think that years later, here I am as a grown ass man, and that motherfucker is still on the Supreme Court. That's wild to me. Like,
Yeah.
and I know these people they basically keep their jobs until they die. That's crazy. That's dirty
It
work.
is.
Um, so
Um,
what did I love the most about college?
mm,
Honestly, what I like the most about college is kind of the little knit community. You know, I kind of it felt kind of cozy in a way, like to, you know, for an example, I can go outside, you know, after like maybe 9 o'clock, and you know, the little quad, you know, field that every college has. They always have this big old field, um, you know, which is around where the like the dorm room, the dorm buildings were. It's kind of cool to know that there was like cliques and groups of people around late at night, and like you didn't really have to worry much about like, I mean, there was security issues, but like for the most part, everyone on campus was a college student, you know, and it was easy to like bond and make friends with people because it was like a knit little community. And um I miss that. I miss being able to like for an example, right now, if I was at the school I went to, I'm not gonna say it on camera, but if but if it was that time right now of going to like if I wanted to eat, I could go to the 24-hour cafeteria and eat, and there would be people in there having great conversation, and I could grab my roommate or grab my you know, some friends, and we would go and eat there. And you know, there's times where I've walked to get some coffee late at night because the Starbucks on campus was open late, and you know, that was a cute little quaint walk. Because again, the people who were around you were fellow college students. It was like a knit little community, and I'll be honest with you, I'm going to always be searching for that for the rest of my life. I was actually just talking to my friend about that a couple of days ago about how did I mention this to you as well the other day? About how I wish
yes.
there was like I thought so. Yeah, I wish there was like a college campus for adults. And I think the closest thing to it is like a gated community, you know, and some gated communities have, you know, cool benefits like pools and, you know, parks and
Mhm.
stuff. Some of them go all out, some of them have stores, you know, some of them have cafeterias and stuff. And you get that like knit community vibe because there is a sense of security, you know, because you guys all have that one thing in common, which is we go here, you know, we
Uh-huh.
live here, we have a home here, and it's safe because we have each other's backs, and it's it's warming, and I probably always subconsciously search for that going forward. And that's what I definitely miss the most about college. Um, or I should say love the most about college,
Hmm.
but I also miss it. And I think that would also be my answer for do you miss do you miss college? I don't miss the stressfulness, but I do miss that knit community vibe. So I think I miss college. The stress is
So,
always going to be here. So
um,
but what isn't going to be there is all the good times you have in college. And this is coming from someone who I didn't even do much in college. Like I wasn't like the wild party person. I didn't mingle with everyone who would listen. But
mhm,
even people who are introverted, there was still like a social vibe that you kind
mhm.
of you feel in college. So
So like you don't think you could get that same experience by like being a professor? Do you think it's different between like the
no, let me the guys. I work at an institution right now.
uh-huh.
Like I don't get that feeling now, and it's so if I don't get it now, then I don't think I would get it as a professor.
Hmm.
You know, I don't think I would get it as a commuter. We talked before about how there's a massive difference between commuting and living on campus. The whole
True.
vibe is just, it's different, as it should be, as it would be, because you're literally living at the college, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Um, but and there's pros and cons. Obviously, the pro of living on campus is, this whole social life aurora that I'm talking about right now. But like the con is it's expensive. I mean, those little hole in the wall, you know, dorms that they put 18-year-olds in, which I have a massive problem with, by the way, because some of them have AC problems, heat problems, and yet they charge
Yeah.
thousands of dollars per semester. Um, like that's a con to me. Like that's expensive, and the living arrangements aren't even the best, but you do make good memories with good people. Um, because you guys bonded over that one thing of you basically live on top of one another, you know, and vice versa. The pro for commuting is you save a hell of a lot of money, and the con is, as you probably are feeling, Jamir, and I'm feeling now because I'm a grad student and I'm not living on campus. You do kind of get that social life blow, that
Mhm.
it kind of hits you and you kind of have to find ways to make up for it, and it can be difficult. Um, so yeah. So yeah, okay. Well, yeah. All right. I think that was a pretty good do you think you're gonna miss college when you wrap
I
up
think that's like a hard question.
too
I
soon?
feel like I'm gonna miss some aspects of college. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, actually, yeah, I probably would miss like being back in college like afterwards. Because like once you're out of college and you're like 30, like I feel like what do you do? Like you just work for the rest of your life, don't you?
No, well, that's usually when I'm gonna be honest with you, I can't wait to my 30s. I feel like I'm gonna have a good time in my 30s. You're more mature. You
Uh-huh.
you are making, well, you're supposed to be making good money. You're still young enough to be healthy and active. And 30 is around the time where a lot of people usually start to get married or have or start a family. Things are just more serious, and I just feel like I expect things to be more serious and relaxed in my early
Hmm.
30s. Now, I will say I think the decade that scares me is my 40s, to be honest with you. That's the one
Uh-huh.
I'm not looking forward to. Because you know what the 40s feels like? I feel like the 40s are gonna feel like when you're on top of a roller coaster and you're at the tip top of the incline, and like
Hmm.
the only way down from there is the cart going really fast down the hill, and that's the only way,
Yeah.
but yeah.
Um,
I
so, I mean, like Do you think you'll be growing as much in your 30s compared to like
I
your
think,
school years? Because I think that's like what I was trying to get at. Like up until this point, I've always been, I feel like, you've been like rapidly growing, and then I feel like it kind of slows once you hit your 30s and you're out of college.
well, you never stop learning, and you learn in your 30s. You go
Of
through too many
course.
experiences for you not to learn. But I I think you do majority of your learning in your 20s. I think that's the reason why your 20s is so stressful. I mean, obviously it's fun. I mean, you're young and you're energized, but it's stressful because you're basically mapping out the rest of your life, you know? And I I think that's another reason why I can't wait to 30-ish, 31-ish is because things start to slow down. Things aren't as hectic because you're not like you're kind of at a phase where and this is all hypothetical by the way, since I'm not 30, but you're not really being molded that much. You're kind of stepping into your own place, and really being comfortable with who you are and feeling good about it. And I personally, I don't know why so many people are afraid of turning 30. I can't wait. Um, I really can't. I think things are going to be less stressful in my 30s. And I pray that they are, to be honest. Um,
Mhm.
so is that the only reason why you might miss college? Is because you feel like post 30 is going to be downhill?
Honest, like kind of. I don't know. I guess
Okay.
I'm just, I guess I'm just, kind of scared of being older. You know, like things are gonna be different. I'm not gonna be with my parents anymore. Just a lot of changes.
Yeah, but you won't be with your parents, but you might be with like a significant other who, you know, and guys, like your long-term partner is really supposed to take the place of like your parents, right? I mean, you are, don't get me wrong, like you should definitely be independent and you should know how to take care of yourself, but we're not supposed to be alone on this planet. Like, we there's a reason why we try to find our special one, and there's also a reason why we don't grow up, you know, without any type of support.
Hmm.
So I don't know. I mean, unless you want to stay single, I think that's the only thing that would concern me about that part of 30s, you know.
I guess.
But
So,
okay. Um, so all right, let's end with a pet peeve. Do you have a pet peeve?
uh, no, I do not. I
Oh,
didn't think of
well, what do you mean you don't have a pet peeve? You lying. You
what
complain.
is that like. What does that even mean? Like,
A
I'm
pet
just supposed to
peeve?
complain about something.
No, like something that someone does or people do that irks your nerves. Like, for an example, people who eat loud or people who chew with their mouths open.
Okay, I'm just gonna be boring and say like
Please don't repeat
people who
words.
are
Oh,
people
okay.
who are rude to customer service. Easy.
Okay, that's something. I mean, it's not. You gonna explain why?
Because like everyone works, like if you're in like in a place where there is customer service, I imagine you're a working person because you're like there to buy something or you need help with something. And like I feel like everyone knows like you hate your job. So why would you make someone else's experience at work worse when we're all just people, we're all just trying to make a living and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty basic.
Okay.
What's your pet peeve?
My pet peeve, I cannot stand when like old people think that they can do, and they would never admit this, but they feel like they can do and say whatever they want to younger people because they feel like they're superior because they've been on this damn planet forever. I think that you should be respectful to people because the fact of the matter is, some of the stuff that older people say to younger people, if the younger person, if the shoe was on the other foot, they would be bitching and moaning about, oh, this young generation is so rude. Ooh.
Right.
You know, all this crap. And it's like, dog, it's like, yo, what is with old people staring? Old people love to stare. And I'm like, I know y'all know that's rude.
Oh my God, not too much on grandma.
No, it's
Like,
true though. Like they be staring at you like they've never seen like a human being before, a black person, or you know, I mean, I don't know anything else. I don't know why else somebody would stare at me. I don't dress.
uh,
My outfits aren't outlandish. Like I don't know
maybe
why. Like
maybe
if
they
there's
just like
something on
miss
my
being
face.
young.
Like what?
So maybe they just miss being young and they're like, I don't know, thinking about them when they're your age. Yeah.
Okay, but you can look down and do that. Like, why are you staring at my a hole in my soul? Like I don't understand why you're doing that.
Well, people tend to like look at things they like for a long time. So you should take it as a compliment.
I'm not taking that as at least smile. At least smile
Sure.
at me. You just stand. I mean, complete poker face, just stone cold serious. I'm like, are you kidding? Like, dude, smile something. Smile, say hi, laugh, show some teeth, something.
Show some
No,
teeth.
you
Oh my
just sit there
God.
and just stare. It's like, dude,
Show your dentures. It's so funny.
yeah, you got freaking. But that, and then plus when people freaking old people talk to you any old type of way. And it's like, now, if I say what I just said to you, you're gonna have a problem with it. Or if I
Yeah.
say the thing, like, don't do that. You know what I mean? Because at some point they
Hmm.
have to understand they're not talking to kids, they're talking to adults. Yes, I'm like 80 years younger than you. I get it. But like that don't mean that you like that means that you've had enough time on this earth to know that what you're saying is rude. And if the shoe was
Right.
on the foot, well, it would expose the fact that you're a hypocrite. And it's not cool. So that's my little pet peeve. I don't want people to feel like they're superior because they're older. Um,
Hmm.
it's like no, like
Now I'm curious. Do you feel the same way with like parent-child dynamics?
yeah, kind of because like I mean, come on, there's some stuff that your parents probably can say to you that they're like, all right, that's parents being parents, and it'd probably be a little rude to say it back. But like as an adult, there's like I expect you to speak to me some a specific way
Mhm.
as your parent, as my parent, I should say. Like you can't possibly think you can get away with speaking to me like I'm a child at my age and then expect me not to say anything back. I mean, you can't do that, and like my parents talk to like, don't get me wrong, they're still my parents and they still have that like, how parents are, like a little
Yeah.
overprotective, they always giving advice, got it. But like, I feel like my mom and me, like our relationship is more like friends than anything,
Mhm.
now. And my same thing with my dad. Like, my dad, I think he catches himself falling down that, I am your father type, attitude. But like, it's fun talking to him now compared to when I was young. I think he was always in molding form.
Hmm.
And I was the clay, obviously. And we turned out well, me and my brother. Like I think my parents know they can have a genuine friendship with us and a respectful one We can go to them for actual advice. You know, whatever beliefs they have, they don't let it stop them from loving me or treating me any different. Um, and there's a respect there as adult to adult. I mean, just forget the whole parent-child dynamic. Just we're adults. And that's what I love. Not that I know I'm a little biased because I'm talking about my parents, but
Mhm.
it's that's what I think a parent kid, parent son, parent daughter relationship should be when you guys are adults. And some parents don't know how to do that. I mean, I know I, I'm not going to say how I know them because I don't want to stir up the pot, but I do know some adults who still speak to their grown kids like their children. And I'm like, why are you still treating them like such? Like it's wild. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, uh, to answer your question, yes, I would. I still think it kind of is the same when it comes to parent and kid. You know,
Mhm.
I think parents have a little bit of leeway, because they're mom and dad, but like still, like don't treat me like I'm a child. That's not cool, you know. So,
That's fair.
but okay. Well, this was a fun one. I hope it's first of many. I would love to have you back on at some point. Um, and yeah, um, that is it for today. Any last words, Mr. Special Guest?
Um, no, just goodbye.
Okay. All right. Well, until next time, you guys, thanks and goodbye.